Welcome to the Scoop Order. Happy Friday. I hope you guys are having a good long weekend. July 5th. Big news coming for Ohio State. Riley Pettijohn's committing tomorrow. Looks very good for Ohio State. Dave Sanders Jr. also looking very good for Ohio State. We're going to get into all of that. As always, we appreciate you guys that are kicking with us this weekend. Again, we are working on the extended weekend. We appreciate you guys. If you guys enjoy this content, please leave us a like, click subscribe, also click that little alert bell. If you guys want to do something ultra special for us, get on your iPhone, subscribe to Apple Podcasts, Buckeye Scoop. Those are huge for us. We are growing that like crazy right now. So thank you for all of you that have been following us. And those of you who haven't, keep doing that. Even if you guys enjoy the YouTube content, toss it on there. It's really helpful for us. And we appreciate you guys as always. This will be a huge show tonight because you guys make it one. So thank you for all of that. Shout out where you guys are watching from. Shout out who you guys are watching with. And also shout out, what are you guys up to this weekend? This is a glorious 4-day weekend, essentially, with a July 4th holiday on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So we will be going each and every night around 7 o'clock. So we appreciate you guys kicking it with us as always. So let us know what your plans are in the comments. Again, that's a nice, easy layup for you guys that want to help us out. Again, the likes are huge for the algorithm. Commenting during the chat and commenting after the video is over and writing just in the YouTube comments is huge for us. So we appreciate everything that you guys write. We're very thankful for that. So thank you for all of that. With that being said, Nevada, Riley Pettijohn, David Sanders Jr. The Corey Moore thing was a clown car last night. And again, I'm not trying to dog the kid out, but that commitment video is probably the worst in the history of commitments. Where you at right now with Ohio State recruiting? I know a lot of people are, I guess, disappointed. Number one class in the country right now, 5-star quarterback, 5-star tackle, a lot of 5 D linemen committed. But there's some people that aren't happy with that. But where are you at right now, especially if we add Riley Pettijohn, who to me is the best linebacker in the country coming out of high school. I think James Artis has his claws sunk into him, and I think that he's going to be a Buckeye very soon within the next 24 hours. But what are your thoughts?
Well, I always say I don't get that excited about anyone recruiting, and I'm sticking with that. Now, having said that, adding recruits like Riley Pettijohn and Sanders to an already amazing class would be, I mean, just the cherry on the top. And it sure looks like that's the way it's happening. You guys, you have to understand. We always prize being honest with you guys. We prize on this podcast that we give you kind of an inside look at how it goes with Ohio State recruiting, inside the Woody Hayes, inside the football team, inside the coaching staff, et cetera, et cetera. So you have to understand that a lot of times Ohio State doesn't even know on this stuff, and sometimes the worst sources in the world that you can have for it are inside the Woody Hayes, and it's been kind of funny because I'll watch stuff come out, and then you'll follow, well, who's saying what, what are they doing, when do crystal balls come out, and you can almost kind of see how it's kind of rolling with Ohio State, but Ohio, I'm just telling you, I know it's frustrating for you guys as fans, because sometimes as fans are like, man, I wish I knew how this. I'm telling you, a lot of times Ohio State doesn't even know. And a lot of times the guys that Ohio State is the most bullish on, they don't get. And the guys that they're the most bearish on, they do get. So this would be another example of with Riley Pettijohn, where if you'd asked Ohio State people, a few days ago, I think they were really optimistic. Yes, and recently, and they weren't that optimistic, and now they're kind of optimistic. So it's like they get flipped all over the place. So based on our information, do we think we're getting them? We think we're getting them. Does Ohio State think they're getting him? I think Ohio State thinks they're getting him, but there's some people inside of Ohio State that aren't sure. I'm not sure if the collectives are completely online in this in terms of having this thing all lined up, but I think they're getting him. I love his game. He's a blazer. He's a guy that runs the 100-meter dash at an elite high school level. On top of being just a thumper out there on the football field, would be a great get for Ohio State. But you've already got an amazing class. You've already got a class that I think would rank. I believe if they didn't add another recruit, it would have been number 1 last year or number 3. I don't know. It would have been up in the rare air. They're going to be adding more guys. Frankly, the player that Ohio State is the most confident on, the most confident. And this goes from staff to collective to support people, to insiders, is David Sanders. That's the guy that they're the most confident on right now. Now, that could be the kiss of death. You and I laugh about that all the time. That could be the kiss of death, but that is the guy that they seem to feel like they've got on lockdown. Probably we've talked about more than anybody in this recruiting cycle, but they feel like they've got him on lockdown. But it seems like I think they've got Riley Pettijohn on lockdown as well. So that would be two great adds to an already unbelievable class. And right with Pettijohn, that could happen. Yeah, that's supposed to happen tomorrow. So we'll all be stay tuned, and hopefully it won't be as cringy as the DeCorian Moore commitment video. Though
Oh
I
God.
believe that he has set the bar so
Oh my
impossibly
God.
high that I don't think anybody is going to top that one anytime. So I think we'll be talking about that one for years to come.
In the chat, in the comments, how many people watched the Riley Pettijohn commitment video? Because again, I was sitting here editing the podcast from yesterday.
You said Pettijohn. You mean DeCorian Moore?
Yeah, I mean, excuse me. Yeah, I appreciate you, Nevada, for correcting me. The Corey Moore's commitment video. It was I think it was at 9 Eastern time. And he was home in Duncanville, and it was like 40 questions in a row with him and his mom, and it was just like, why do you like to play football? Because I like to clown kids. I like to dog people. I'm like, bad answer, dumb, stupid. But again, this isn't. And again, when I say this is, it'll sound like sour grapes. Like, oh, you're just mad he's not a Buckeye or whatever. But I'm like, if I was advising the kid, like to say, I like to work hard. I like to grind. I like to, I love the intensity, whatever, like, aerobics you need to do to make sure that you tell people, hey, why do you love football? Because I love the game. I love to grind. I love how hard it is. Like, if any kid ever has any idea how to or has any doubt on how to answer a question, just like go watch YouTube videos of Tom Brady answering questions where it's like, I like how I can compete against myself and push myself when I'm tired and I'm hurt, and I can, get up off the mat and go grind and be tougher and do my thing. Like, that's the greatest way ever to answer it. Like, the Corey was like, I like to dog people out. And again, he got, a huge package to go to Oregon, which is hilarious because I don't even think you can find Oregon on a map. And when he committed, he had like some fireworks smokestack display of, he like lit it on fire, and after 5 minutes it turned into green smoke and started puffing out. And I was like, well, I've never seen a kid be less excited about committing somewhere than he was. It was like a straight auction, a straight cash grab, and I'm just like, and again, if he came to Ohio State, awesome. But JJ Smith is the polar. JJ Smith is nondescript Terminator, cold-blooded killer. And this kid was, like, why do I like to play football? Because I like to dog kids. I'm like, well, JJ doesn't have to say that out loud because he just does it. So, again, I was very high on DeCorian. I watched that video and I was like, yeah, I don't know what we're really missing on him. And we'll see. Again, if a kid picks Oregon to go get developed into an NFL wide receiver, like go look at the laundry list of NFL wide receivers that have come out of Oregon in the last 30 years. I mean, it'll be a very quick list. It'll be like if it's a laundry list, you're going to be spending about 5 cents to get the 15 seconds it takes to read through that. Where it's like with Brian Hartline, even Texas, if he goes to Texas, I get it. They had a first rounder last year. You're from Texas. That's where a lot of people were projecting him to. But to go to Oregon, man, where they've never put a guy in the league at receiver of substantial means, I just straight cash grab, straight auction, which again is fine. But with Riley Pettijohn and David Sanders Jr., I think that these guys are long-term thinkers. They're guys that can be developed. Riley Pettijohn, I think, is the best linebacker in the country coming out of high school, and I think that we're going to get him. So I think it's going to be an exciting day for Ohio State. And again, I know Nevada, like, the ultimate kiss of death is to say that Ohio State feels fantastic about somebody because, like, I just feel like a lot of the people in the Woody Hayes don't work nearly as hard as they used to, and they don't really know what's going on. So when they say that something is really, really good or something is really, really trending well, I take it with a grain of salt that's literally as big as me. But David Sanders Jr. is a guy they feel really good on. And, when you lose on a guy like DeCorian Moore and you lose on some of these guys like the the advantageous situation to all of that is the fact that the salary cap expands, so you could offer David Sanders even more cash to get him locked in. And again, if DeCorey Moore comes and we have to pay him, and then David Sanders gets a little bit less, like I don't know, do we really need another wide receiver? I don't think so. Do we need a left tackle? Yes, especially if Josh Simmons jumps to the pros after this year. So I love where we're at right now. If we get, Raleigh Pettijohn tomorrow, which I expect we will, and then you get like David Sanders Jr., his new nickname will be like Degree Ultra or whatever is the most antiperspirant deodorant in the history of mankind. That's what he is. David Sanders he's like Tim Duncan was the big fundamental, and I know that Shaquille O'Neal was the big Aristotle. David Sanders is the big deodorant stick. So when people are all upset and they say the class stinks, even though it's number one in the country and it's better than any other class in the entire NCAA stratosphere, like David Sanders Jr. is the big deodorant stick. So whatever people think stinks, if we get that kid, it'll smell really good. So he's the big deodorant stick. That's his new nickname. So when he's on campus, well, Buckeye Scoop teachers say the big deodorant stick. It'll have his little number on it, number 70. There was a little gold chain, and it'll be absolutely fire. But I feel really good about this class. Again, Nevada. I know that people say that I'm a homer and I'm pie in the sky. And Kirk, you played there, so you're Bobby Buckeye and whatever. So Nevada, I feel really good about the recruiting classes right now because we have the number one class across all three services, 247 on three rivals. We are number one consensus. So I feel really good about this class, Nevada. Am I wrong to feel good about the fact that we have the consensus number one class and we could get a 5-star linebacker in Riley Pettijohn and the number one player in the country in David Sanders Jr.? Am I wrong to feel good about the number one class in the country?
No, and I really do believe about 99% of the fan base agrees with you. I think it's just that 1% that's really loud and really miserable and really just kind of revels in any bad news. They it's for them. It's like crypt. I don't know what I was going to say. Kryptonite. It's like catnip. It's like heroin. It's like whatever drug that people can kind of get off on. But I think I think 99% of the people in from reading the message board from seeing out that are pretty rational about this. You see kids. I mean, DeCoy and Moore going to Oregon, like you said, going to Texas, we all kind of understand. I mean, Oregon, I don't know. I can't think of a single like first or second round wide receiver that they put in the league. I'm sure there's somebody somewhere, but they're not cranking out wide receivers. And the idea that NIL, that the highest bidder for NIL should get your services when really the game is about getting to that second NFL contract. Boy, I think that's some short term thinking right there. And it was like Oregon was offering him $1 million and Ohio State was offering him nothing. I mean, he was going to get paid wherever he was going to go, and so to risk the future on that, man, I don't. I like I said, if he'd have gone to Texas, I don't. How can you make that argument? Because Texas has sent guys as recently as last year. You've got Arch Manning in there. I mean, I just don't have any idea how Oregon's selling that to him, other than the obvious thing of mega bucks and Nike and Phil Knight and a big NIL deal. But I really think that is dumb thinking right there. And I understand a lot of things, but I don't understand that at all. So sometimes these things work out the way that they're supposed to. And you know if we get Riley Pettijohn, if we get Dave Sanders, I mean, like, it's only 1% of the people that are upset. I think the other 99% are already happy. They'll be happier tomorrow, and then the David Sanders thing, we'll all party together and we'll all sing "Kumbaya." Um, but it's been a great class. It's a great class. Now, can they keep it together? If you have 4 or 5 decommits, then maybe you have a different discussion about the class. But I don't see that. I haven't heard rumblings about that. We stay on this stuff pretty tightly. So I think that I think the class is pretty solid to Ohio State, and the dream off season continues, and I think it's just going to get better tomorrow with the Riley Pettijohn commitment. It seems like all the crystal balls are flowing that way. All the insiders are flowing that way. All the other schools are kind of raising the white flag. So we'll be cautiously optimistic until we get that one in the barn, because it's recruiting in 2024, And as we'll always say, you never know until the hay's in the barn, and then even then, the commitment in July doesn't mean anything until they sign the paperwork, and even then they could transfer out. So it's a never-ending process of fretting. But I think we're going to get some good news tomorrow.
Yeah, like if DeCoy Moore going to Oregon as a wide receiver, which has been like basically a total wasteland. If my kid was a classical 6'7" left shot, Chris Pronger clone defenseman, Chris Pronger is one of the greatest players who's ever lived in hockey, and all of a sudden he committed to go play hockey in like Saudi Arabia, you'd be like, okay, Kirk just decided to sell his kid to the Saudis and have him go play hockey out there instead of going to the Portland Winterhawks or Spokane or any of the other major junior teams that he potentially could play for. That's what it feels like with DeCoy, because again, you could go look at their wide receiver, litany, and there's nothing there. It's an empty void, an empty chasm, and I think that it's, I don't want to say it's sad, but again, you guys can go back and watch the video and just say, Kirk, you're a hater, you're dumb, you know what I'm talking about. I have never seen a kid less excited to commit somewhere than that kid. And I know that he had his green fireworks and the smoke, and he had his Boost Mobile internet or whatever, because like the poor kid was trying to do like some cool Instagram live video, and the signal was like he was on like the Edge network or the 3G from 2008, and it kept skipping out. I'm like, oh, this poor kid. He doesn't have a hot spot anywhere in all of Duncanville, so it was trash. Then he lights his little green candle, his little green Roman candle up, and it's fine. Again, I was happy for the kid, whatever. He had a shot to be a Buckeye. He whiffed, and I'm sure we'll see him. We'll see him in person. He can come see us and come see our 5-star DBs. And I think Devin Sanchez will eat his lunch and take his cookies, and he'll be like, "Man, I could have played there." And yeah, you could have. You could have been a part of something amazing. Being under J, because again, if JJ Smith was recruiting me, who's going to be, JJ Smith will probably be the first overall pick in the draft in 3 years. I would be like, okay, let's ride. Let's go. You teach me. He's already set the blueprint. I mean, he's probably going to be the best receiver in the country this year. So if I'm DK Moore and the best player in the entire country is recruiting me, okay, let's do it. Let's ride. Me and you together. Like if Orlando Pace called me and said, Kirk, I want you to be my apprentice to learn how to play tackle, I'd be like, okay, I don't even know what any other school is. I'd come into Ohio State, or if Jonathan Ogden or whoever. If someone's like that good and they say, Kirk, I want to teach you how to do it. And I'm only one, because again, he's only 1 year below JJ. JJ's a freshman this year. So he'd have 2 full years with JJ in the room with him, competing, being brothers. And he turned that down for fast cash, which again, if you want to be, dollar flush and whatever. I mean, I just think that when you can get a guy like JJ to mentor you, like, because again, JJ was Instagram, Twitter, tweeting at him, emojiing at him, and that's not JJ's style. Like JJ doesn't do that unless he really cares about a kid or really wants to help develop a kid. He's not that guy. JJ is a very quiet kid, a very introverted kid. So for him to do that and then DK to still turn that down and go to Oregon, that's insanity. But again, that's just me. Nevada, any other thoughts? So we can get into some super chats.
No, I think it, like, I really do believe that these things generally work out the way that they're supposed to. And in terms of our recent kids, like with Brew and with Justin Hill, I mean, I don't think the Justin Hill commitment is over at all.
No,
I really
no,
don't. And
no way.
From talking to people that are close to him, I really don't think that one's over. So, as a fan, all we can counsel you on is just try not to get too high, try not to get too low, try to stay, kind of in the middle, the upper part of the middle, because there's a lot to be excited about. But I think that there's still a long road to go. But look, Riley Pettijohn would make everybody feel better. I'm rooting for it to happen for just that reason. It's not about Riley Petty. It's not about, wow, we have to have Riley Pettijohn or Nevada's going to be sad because we'll never be good and we'll never win a game. I just want everybody to be happy, because when people are happy, it's the podcast is better, the board is better, everybody's like kind of smiling, and hey, we got Riley Pettijohn, and everybody's virtual high-fiving all over the place. And I just want people to be happy. And so, Riley, make us happy tomorrow. do what we think you're going to do what everybody expects you to do what Ohio State thinks you're going to do, and bring it home to Columbus, and let's have everybody have a happy 6th of July on Saturday. That'd be a great present for everybody.
Totally agree. I'll get into our first super chat. Andre Duke, what is up, brother? Let me know when you need me next. Thank you for coming on Saturday. Andre was there for the entire day of Saturday, so I appreciate you, brother. Thanks for the 10. To be an Ultra member as well. DeCorian Moore video is all I need to see the Patriot flags. And I think we dodged a bullet because the Q and A was just about like, Kirk, can we get your winner of the AAC and MAC and Blue Cheese is King? I mean, with the MAC, I'm always going to go Toledo just because of Jason Candle. AAC, I don't even know who's in the AC anymore. I mean, it used to be Cincinnati, but they're in the Big 12 now. So I'll look. Mac, I'm going to go Toledo, Jason Candle. I'll look up the AC. Yeah, I mean, DeCoy Moore, Nevada, I know that you're too highbrow to sit and watch the Instagram live because I know you're Mr. No on social media, but I'm sure that some of the folks around you were probably watching DeCoy Moore. He did like a 25 or 30-minute question and answer session before. And these questions weren't questions from Instagram. They were literally, it wasn't like a super chats. It was literally like canned questions that his mom wrote. And again, I'm not denigrating his mom or him or whatever, but it was like a 45-minute video that should have been 90 seconds because it was just like, what do you like about football? And he's like, well, I like to dog people out and dog them out and let them know they're trash because I'm fast. And I'm just like, good God, kid, you're going to get smoked one day and your ACL is going to be laying on the side of the field and you're going to be like, you're not smoking anybody anymore. But Andre Duke, he's like me, said he dodged a bullet because the Q&A was about, like, again, I like my guys like JJ, like San Antonio, I mean, those guys were very quiet, but they were absolute like chainsaw massacre murderers when they got on the field. So this is my opinion. But Nevada, I'd love your opinion again. Andre Duke, thanks for the 10. And thanks for being ultra as well. DeCorian Moore, video is all he needs to know. And the video was atrocious to see major red flags. And I think we dodged a bullet because the Q&A was just about like, Kirk, can we get one of the AC in the MAC and Blue Cheese King? I like Ranch better. I will say that the best part about the video was, there were all these guys around the live that were his family or whoever they were, the folks. And they were like, man, he should have went to Texas. Man, he should have went to LSU. He should have went to LSU. He's like, they're throwing up the L. Like, I mean, it was so impossibly bad because, all the people there were like I think everyone there was shocked that he picked Oregon. If he had picked Texas, I think it would have been probably 65% of the crowd would have been for that. There were a lot of people that wanted him to go to LSU. Nobody wanted him to go to Ohio State, which is kind of hilarious, but it's what it is. But when he committed to Oregon, man, it was like an audible, it wasn't a gasp, it was like an audible, a thud. It was like a turd hitting the top of the toilet bowl, a turd hitting the water. It's like, there wasn't a lot of excitement. I mean, there was faux excitement because they're all invited to this thing. And there's 15,000 people watching on an Instagram live, which is a big live stream, but it wasn't like you're set and this is going to be great and you're going to dominate. This will be awesome. But it's kind of the opposite. It's kind of really, of all the 4 teams, you have LSU who put 2 guys in the first round last year. Texas put a guy in the first round. Ohio State put a guy in the first round. Oregon, I don't think has ever put a guy. And again, I'm going to look this up. Nevada, go ahead and take it and give me your answer. DeCorian Moore videos, all we need to see, major red flags. And I think that we dodged a bullet because of the Q&A. Bad luck. And your winners on the AAC and the MAC. I have no idea. I know the MAC had picked Toledo every year, but the AAC, I have no clue. I'm going to look up how many first rounders Oregon's had at wide receiver. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I think these things are all, it's like having a kind of a pest on your hockey team. You have one of those guys, man, you hate him when he's on the other team, but when he's on your team, you love him. You think he's fiery and you think he's inspirational.
So essentially me on a podcast, right?
Exactly.
Okay, that's perfect. You hate me. Yeah. Everyone hates me. Unless I'm on your side, and then you see the ratings and how much we're doing on views and everything else. It's like, wow.
And then you love you. Yeah, exactly.
No, you're just like, man, that's way better than not working for 2 weeks and working once a week on 1 day a week, and it's just way better, right?
No, I think DeCorian Moore, had he committed to Ohio State, I don't know if our feelings would change about it. Maybe our perspectives change on things, but that's not my style. But I also realize that I'm an old fogey, and that the bygone days of just guys kind of keep their nose down and doing things and stuff. I think that's kind of gone. I think we live in kind of a different era right now, and but even for that that video was cringy, and yeah, I did get a chance to see some of it, and it was super cringy, and it seemed like he knew that it was great. I don't think he was executing. Like, when
Oh,
you put these things off, he could tell that the execution was not good, and
no.
I think he knew that it was kind of circling the drain and kind of dying there. But hey, he got 15,000 people on it, so he's got some interest. He's got a bunch of money in his pocket now from Oregon, and I'd like to say I wish him well, but I don't wish him ill will, but I don't wish him well. I wish all the Ohio State guys well, and may we beat Oregon 59-0 every time we play them.
So Oregon had Troy Franklin this past year in 14 go fourth round. I'm digging through. I mean, they go years upon years upon years. They had a seventh rounder in 19. Dylan Mitchell went to the Vikings. I'm sure he's out of the league now. So they've had two since 20. I mean, D'Anthony Thomas is like a running back. Josh Huff, drafted by Chip Kelly. So I mean, I don't know. It's like, do you really count guys from 8, 9 years ago that didn't really? Kyle Long went first round in 2012. He was a first round guard, but I mean, this is a long time ago. When you're looking at wide receivers, I mean, there's two or three. I mean, I don't count D'Anthony Thomas as a receiver, but he's listed as a receiver in the draft. But kind of a swing running back guy, return guy. So like two guys in like 9 years essentially is what we're looking at versus Brian Hartline, Ohio State, first rounders every single year. So, I mean, I don't know. Like, are you
I
that
think it's
salty about?
Kirk. I think it's foolish. I mean, I really do. I think it's
Oh my God.
foolish.
Well, like I
I do.
told you, like if the U.S. National Development Hockey League wanted my kid, and all of a sudden he committed to go play hockey in Saudi Arabia, you'd be like, okay, like Kirk must need a little bit of cash because he's selling this kid to the Saudis to go learn how to play hockey, as opposed to the U.S. national program where they've put in, I don't know, like 5 of the top 10 guys in the draft every single year for the last few years, or Jack Hughes, Quinn Hughes, like there's this litany of guys that have come out of that program where it's like, well, Jack Eichel, wouldn't you want your kid to go be a part of that if they're recruiting him? No, I'm gonna send them to Saudi Arabia where they've never had a hockey player in history, but they're gonna pay us a bunch of money. So hopefully my kid will be the first one. Because again, I'm not the one thing I know, and again, this is a Granny Nevada / Nevadabuck ism, is that the Trailblazers get the arrows. So the one thing I know in my life, if my kid is talented, is driven, knows what he's doing, like I don't want to send him to a program where he's going to be the first guy in the history of the program to be something, first overall pick, first round pick, drafted, whatever the analytics or measurements are. I'm not going to have my kid go and do that. I want my kid to go somewhere where it's like, well, we put 15 kids into the draft last year, or we had we've put more first rounders into the draft, or more offensive tackles, or more quarterbacks, or whatever. Because again, it's just way easier to recruit. Like if I'm Ryan Day and I'm Chip Kelly, I'm like, look at the guys we've put in the league. We've put Dwayne Haskins, Justin Fields, CJ Stroud, whoever into the league, and they've been very successful. They've done great work. They've jumped in. They've been ready to go, and that's where I'm kind of at. Like I'm not going to send my kid to some school where it's like, well, they've never done it. And that's like Oregon. I mean, in general, like skill guys, let's say, Bo Nix went first round this year, just kind of an anomaly where he's been 6 years in the system. And, Sean Payton needed a quarterback, so they had to dive in there and get him. But, other than that, like they're not a big skill position development school. So I don't know if I'd be dying for it. Again, they've had great line, Panay Sewell, they've had some great linemen come out, good quarterbacks come out, Mariota, Bo Nix, but receivers is like, when you have Marcus Mariota and Bo Nix as your quarterbacks, or two first rounders, and you haven't put any guys in the first round or second round or third round, you got to kind of raise an eyebrow and say, well, what are they teaching? What are they doing that you've got an excellent likely a rookie start in the NFL as your quarterback, and you still can't get guys in the first round. So I don't know. And you're playing in the Pac-12 where it's not exactly death's door when it comes to defense. So just my opinion. And again, I could be wrong. Nevada, your thoughts on that? Because again, I know you're all about making sure you put people in the right situations and the right formats and whatever. What are your thoughts on that?
I just think that it's all about short term money versus long term money, and um, unfortunately, I think that's kind of where we are as a society. And a lot of people are looking at it that way, and I think it's hard for them. Looking towards the hard work, looking towards the long term is difficult for a lot of folks. But look, math is undefeated, and right now, if you're a wide receiver and I mean, you pick Oregon. I mean, again, pick Texas, pick LSU, pick Ohio State, pick USC. I mean, I really do understand those things, but picking Oregon,
Yeah.
um, I think I think you're fighting the math on that, and that's how they built Las Vegas. Was a lot of people that fight the math, and that's why they build all those big casinos.
Yeah, I mean, I like again, I'm a realist. Look, if somebody picks, like Jeff Byers, the kid I hosted, he was the number one player in the entire country. It was a center guard prospect. Picked USC when USC was in their heyday, when they were the most dominant program in the country. I was like, okay, like I mean, I get that. I'm not upset about it. You know, uh, if a kid, like if Caleb Downs picks Alabama to play for Nick Saban, not upset about it. If J.C. Latham picks Alabama, or a kid, picks, Amarius Mims or whoever picks Georgia, I'm good with it. But if someone like just takes some random like offer and commits to it, I'm not quite as sold because again, I think the development is key, and I think that it really depends on who's around these kids. Like when you've got good, these kids are all the same agents, and they all know athletes first and CAA and clutch sports and the rest. So if someone does something crazy and say, hey, you're getting this guaranteed money, and again, it's easy for me to sit here. I'm not getting the check. I know exactly what the coin's getting. So it's a lot of money. But when you see what Justin Jefferson's getting on his second contract, he's making like 30 million bucks a year, I think. Like it dwarfs any NIL compensation you'd ever get. And that's what Brian Hartline's doing. Like Brian Hartline's guys, like when Garrett Wilson re-ups the next year, good God. Olave, good God. I mean, you'll sit there and say, well, I went to this place for another X amount of dollars. And it's like, well, if you had gone there and been developed, you'd have been making X times 20 and your life would have been totally different. So that's just my opinion. Again, Steely's bringing in landing is 0 for 4 for his top teams. I mean, that's the game of the year in college football is that this year we've got Dan Lanning versus Ryan Day in Altson. That'll be potentially a 1 versus 3 matchup. I think it's going to be absolutely fantastic. Nevada, where are you at with that? I mean, again, again, the best part about this season is we can lose to Oregon and still make the playoffs, but where are you at with Ohio State, Oregon at this point? Because there's a lot of things that happen, injuries, whatever. But I feel like that's the game of the year. What are your thoughts?
Look, I think Oregon's going to be really talented. I think the question's going to be at quarterback because Bo Nix was really, really, really efficient last year in his 97th college season or whatever it was. And I know they got Dylan Gabriel. They've got a great transfer in there, but will he be as good as Bo Nix? And defensively, they really struggled last year. I mean, they lost twice to that Washington team that really wasn't very. I mean, Washington legitimately should have had 6 losses last year. 6 losses. I mean, there was a game I think we talked about on the podcast where they were down 3. The other team was throwing into the end zone. The referee called pass interference. They show the thing. They show the guy grabbing the receiver. I think it was Arizona State around the thing, like dragging him down to the ground. And then they picked up the flag. And then on the next play, with like 2 minutes to go, they threw a pick six. So it was like the most miraculous one. And Washington never should have been in the playoff, never should have been in the final game. They had like literally like 5 or 6 games like that, and yet they ran Oregon twice. So yeah, I think it's going to be a great challenge for us. I think it's the biggest game in Autzen Stadium history. I think it's going to be a welcome to the Big Ten game for them. But man, Ohio State is good. I mean, Ohio State is so good this year. It's going to take a mighty effort to beat. It's going to take a lot of bad luck and a lot of things going wrong at the same time to beat Ohio State, and I'm not sure we're going to do that.
I'm there too. I mean, it's going to be, Ohio State's defense is going to travel really well on the road. This is for some of those guys. Oh boy, here we go. Here we go. All right, I'm tossing this on here because this is from somebody that we know. Nevada. This is great. The foundation is on our chat. He said we got some good news coming. No worries on the NIL front. Is that good? I think it's pretty good. I'm kind of excited about that. But what are your thoughts?
I mean, it's not bad, but I mean, I don't know. I'm just look. I'm a big fan of the foundation. I'm so glad that they've done what they've done. They are not a perfect barometer of where these kids are going. Let me tell you. But I'm certainly glad that sounds positive. Anything that positive is good. I'm all about it. And there's no reason to be negative. There's no reason to be negative about Pettijohn. There's no need to be negative about Sanders. There's no need to be negative about this recruiting class, about this upcoming season, about this staff. There's very few things. I mean, we missed on a few recruits, and that always makes me sad. But we're going to be fine, and I think we're going to be even finer tomorrow when Riley Pettijohn commits to Ohio State. And thank you, the foundation, for all you do.
Nevada, like if we get Pettijohn and if we get the guys that we need, we get Pettijohn, we get Sanders Jr. How good is this class?
I mean, best class in college football history. I mean, it's right up. I mean, I don't know what type of superlatives people want. Just look at it. Just look at the numbers. Look at the quality. Look at the depth. Look at the balance. I mean, it would be right up there with the greatest classes in the history of college. Certainly the greatest class on paper in Ohio State history, and would rival any of the great classes that have ever been brought in anywhere. That's how good it would be.
I think it's the best class in history. It's not even close. 2 5-star tackles, 5-star quarterback, 5 D-line commitments, 2 5-star corners. I mean, I don't know what can touch that. I haven't seen one yet. But again, I'm a big guy that believes in, you really have to evaluate these classes once they're gone. 3, 4, 5 years down the road, once they're out of they're out of the nest. How many guys transfer out? How many guys leave early? Where do they go when they leave early? Some guys leave early and they don't get drafted. Some guys go top 5, top 10. My class on paper did not look great, but we had Dante Whitner went top 10. We had Gonzo go first round. We had Ashton go, top 3 rounds, and it wasn't that bad. A lot of big draft picks. I mean, David Patterson was a very serviceable, very, very good player. Didn't get drafted. Kind of surprising, was injured. I was a late guy, 7th round guy. And then we had a lot of guys at the top that stunk. Luis Irizarry, Brandon Maupin, Reggie Smith, who was a good friend of mine. They just, they cashed out. They didn't make it very long. Lewis was the guy, which I was talking about yesterday. It's like, it's funny. If you look at the guys that have gotten the big NIL deals in my class, if you could go back in time and NIL was a thing in 2003, like Lewis would have gotten a huge deal. Darius Hiley would have gotten a huge deal. Obviously, Dante Whitner gotten a huge deal. Trying to think, Ira Guilford was like a 3 or 4-star running back from Jersey, just kind of a guy. I was the only lineman. Tight end, we had Marcel Frost, probably medium. He was a late draft or a late guy. Brandon Maupin, medium, probably NIL deal. Sheon Cotton, medium NIL deal. Kurt Lucas, probably no NIL deal just because from Canton. But Dante, Darius, and Luis Irizarry have been huge NIL guys. And Dante's the only guy that did anything. Dante played well. He was fantastic, great, strong. Probably for my money. And again, I'll get chastised for this. I think he's the best strong safety in Ohio State history. People can kill me. I don't care. He went 8th overall in the draft, ran a 4.340, could demolish bubble screens. I wish we had him against Florida in 06, but we didn't. So I'll take Dante over any strong safety in school history. But again, that's just me being, me and seeing it with my eyes and seeing. We've had, Malik Hooker's more of a free safety, Jordan Fuller free safety, Von Bell strong, but I'd take Dante over Von any day of the week. Doss, who is a fantastic 3-time All-American. I'd take Dante because he's so much quicker and so much faster than Mike was. Instinctually, nobody tops Killer Mike, but I mean, even he would say Dante's a different level than he was, and that's why Dante went top 10 and Mike went first 2-3 rounds or whatever. I think he went second round. So just my opinion. Nevada, any thoughts of that? Getting down to
So
the
Jack Tatum slander. You're slandering Jack Tatum.
I mean, was he a corner in Ohio State, or was he a free? Was he a strong safety, or was he a corner?
He was a safety.
His whole career.
Pretty sure. I mean, I don't know his whole career. I mean, that's kind of like the whole thing about like Babe Ruth, and did he ever play like center field and like yeah, did he ever pitch? But I mean, like those guys played like. But I mean, Tatum was a safety.
Well, I mean, I know he was in the NFL. Obviously, I thought he was a corner at Ohio State. So, I'm not slandering Jack Tatum, who's my favorite player of all time. So, but I assumed that he was a corner.
Now you're slandering Orlando Pace, who was your former favorite player of all time.
Yeah, I mean, Tatum used to tell. I mean, I can't say what Tatum used to say to us before the Michigan game because we'd ended up demonetized, and you'd probably end up suing me because we got demonetized for me swearing on the podcast. You say, Kirk, you need to lose everything that you have because you demonetize us for saying the F word. Like Jack Tatum would say the F word about 75 times, and it was absolutely amazing. But
did anybody ever look? Did anybody ever look more menacing on a football field than Jack Tatum? Like
no, he was the GOAT. And I'm telling you, I worked with a guy who I love to death, Neil Shapiro, who worked at Reichert, and he was literally best friends with Tatum in college. So they used to go out, and Neil, little tiny guy from Bexley, little tiny 140-pound guy, and he'd walk out with Jack Tatum, and he's like, Jack Tatum looked like, like King Kong, because he was like built like just a monster. And he said one guy messed with him one night, and him and Jack were, they were in all the different, fun things you could do in the 70s. And the guy messed with little Neil. Little Neil's this little guy, 132 pounds, probably 110 pounds walking around. He's a little skinny guy. And some guy like tried to punk him and mess with him. And he said, Jack Tatum, the guy didn't know that Jack Tatum was his friend. So he's walking around with Jack Tatum, and this guy tried to try little Neil, and Jack Tatum knocked this guy out cold. And again, this is when life was amazing. Pre-social media, pre-internet, pre-cops trying to use you as a pelt of honor. So, when someone tries you, it's funny when you're like a little tiny guy and they think they're just a little tiny guy, but then they don't realize that like your best friend is Jack Tatum, and Jack Tatum comes up in the sky, and you mess with my friend, and he didn't let the guy answer, and Jack hit him so hard that he was on Pluto. His teeth were on the other side of the stadium from High Street, which is about a mile. He hit him so hard his teeth went flying. But that's like, I don't know. I love Jack Tatum. The guy that I love more than anybody in the world is Jim Tressel, because Jim Tressel specifically would, when he got to Ohio State, he sought out former players like Jim Stillwagon, like Jack Tatum, and he had those guys come talk to the team. And he used to have Jack Tatum talk every Thursday practice before the Michigan game. And he would say the F word probably 65 times in like 80 seconds. And it was like, I was like, he is like my favorite player of all time, easily. The assassin. And I used to be, he was kind of up the creek. He had diabetes real bad, lost his legs, the whole 9 yards. But what a monster, what a great player, him and Jim Stillwagon, God rest both their souls, were and John Hicks. Those three guys were just exceptionally nasty, exceptionally tough. And again, like when you get around those guys and you get to go out with them, and John Hicks wore my number, so I used to go to lunch with them every week and hear about kind of the old man, Woody Hayes, and hear kind of how it used to be and how it should be, frankly. Because again, if Ohio State's not tough, we have no business being in business. When we try to be Chuck and Duck and soft as Charmin and whatever, like that's not the Ohio State brand of football. But when we're tough, we're very tough to beat. And again, with Urban, in 14, real tough. Tressel in 02, real tough. And that's kind of where we're going to get back to. We're not a finesse state. We're not a finesse city, not a finesse university. But, when Woody had it cooking, it was like game over. Got another super chat, Nevada. Anything to say to that?
No, I mean, Jack Tatum was. I loved Jack Tatum. I loved the Raiders back then during that era when they had Atkinson and Tatum, and yeah, I mean, it was just such a fun team to watch. But yeah, Tatum was the scariest guy ever, and I wonder about how many personal fouls, how many suspensions, how many things would he have in the modern game? Um, it's yeah, he wouldn't have made it through 3 games in the modern game. He'd have been on Goodell's naughty list, and yeah, he kind of defined that era in terms of physical football, the way he played it, and yeah, he was a mean sob, that's for sure.
I mean, he was. I mean, he would have been thrown in prison today. I mean, that was his mentality because he really didn't care. I mean, again, that's why he was awesome. Like, I mean, he was one of the guys that just I don't care. I mean, he's kind of like an early in time Rodney Harrison, where he just is like, I'm going to play physical, I'm going to play tough. If it intimidates people, so be it. Tell them to go cry to their mamas, and that's where he was. Joe, thank you for the 5. Appreciate you, my friend. Buckeye Scoop podcast is massive. Thank you. Appreciate you, brother, as always. Brew, Hill, and more. Lost, not great, but not the end of the world. Losing McNutt, legacy, and number safety, that hurts. I mean, we've got a lot of good DBs committed, so it's not the end of the world. Again, Richard McNutt is one of the great Buckeyes, one of the greatest people I've been around. I've known him since he has been coaching at Northern Illinois, NC State. He's at Tennessee State now with Eddie. He's a great person. It'll be interesting if he goes to Oregon, which I think that's the chalk right now is he's going to go to Oregon. But that being said, the day is long. I mean, guys, come on, it's July 5th. They sign in mid-December. A lot of things. I mean, if Oregon spits a bit and they stink on defense, or Alabama spits a bit and they stink on defense, like I know one team that's not going to stink on defense, the Ohio State University, because our defense is about to be the best in school history, in my opinion. We were number 2 in the nation last year. We have everybody back, and we had Caleb Downs. So tell me if I'm wrong. And I think Cody Simon is going to have a monster year. First team All Big Ten, if not All American type year. Jack and JT want to go to the league. They want to get big time numbers in their sack totals. I think Ty Lake's the best defensive tackle in the country. So you tell me. A lot of guys got a lot to prove. A lot of these guys want to get their draft position to where they need to be. They're going to play hard. They're going to play well. So I think this will be the best defense in school history. And can Oregon stay the same, or Bama? We'll see. Nevada, Joe, again, thank you for the 5. Says Buckeye Scoop podcast is massive. Thank you. Losing Dorian, Brew, Justin Hill, and more. Decorian Moore, lost, not great. Not the end of the world. Losing Trey McNutt, a Buckeye legacy, number safety, that hurts. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it always hurts to lose, any in-state player for sure. Those, I I think when you look at them one by one, there's reasons for it, but it doesn't make it any better. But the trajectory of the defense is just so positive right now. I mean, you got to remember in Knowles' first year, he came in, they were giving up 22.8 points per game. Last year, we gave up 11. When he came in, they were giving up 5.33 yards per play. Last year, we gave up 4.18. When he came in, opponents' third down conversions were 42%. Opponents were converting on third down 42% of the time. Last year, it was 28% of the time. So you see the trajectory of this defense, and you're like, wow, yeah, that's amazing. That in and of itself would be unbelievable. But then you go, we're returning virtually the entire team, with some notable exceptions of Mike Hall, Tommy Eichenberg, Steel Chambers. But we've got more than capable replacements, and we added Caleb Downs. So yeah, the trajectory of the defense. I think any defensive player is going to look at that. I think Ohio State's going to be on display this whole year. Certainly, the defense is going to be leading the way, and I think that's going to get a lot of attention. And for kids, if they don't go to Ohio State and they want to go somewhere else, hey, it's their life. They get to do it. They get, this isn't a dress rehearsal. Everybody just gets one shot at it, and you kind of go through, and And Ohio State's going to be fine either way. But the one thing you can count on, guaranteed this year, is that Ohio State is. This will be absolutely suffocating defense this year. And I, as a defensive guy, as a defensive coordinator by trade, I love great defense, and so I can't wait to see it.
Totally agree. Yeah, couldn't say it better than myself. Pooh Bear 12, thank you again for being alternative for the Deuce and for being on here each and every night. With the Corey Moore out, Nevada, do we shift focus / money to Vernell Brown III, Nevada OH?
I
As an IO is a little muffled and a little connection.
Give me that question.
Do you want me to do another OH? Nevada OH.
Do it. Give me another OH.
Nevada OH.
Was that muffled?
No, that second one was very good. The first one sounded like when E.T. dies in the movie, and they got the guys in the contaminant suits. That's what you sound like your E.T. when he's covered in contamination. So the second one was very good. I remember that. So
very good. Okay, that made me cry. I remember when YouTube.
Oh.
I don't
know. So, except you, but no. You didn't even get the whole O out. You're just like It's like, you're like your fingers lighting up, and you're just laying there dying, and you can't get the O out, and then everybody in the chat just starts tearing up, and they go out and they buy the deluxe popcorn, and they put the peanut M&Ms and the goobers and the 5 squirts of the Exxon Valdez butter inside of it. Like that's where they were at that point. They're just like, oh, the ET.
Fun movie factor. We're talking about ET. It's like they'd offered M&Ms to do the thing for ET, and they wouldn't do it, so they went to Reese's Pieces, and Reese's Pieces ended up selling like 800% more than they've ever sold before, all because of that movie. So a little fun fact.
Is that the dumbest product placement faux pas of all time? Because again, until I watched that stupid movie, I never saw a Reese's Pieces in my life. I thought Reese's Cups, but like they put the Reese's Pieces down, and then he like comes waddling in there, and he's eating the Reese's Pieces, and I was like, that's genius. I mean, everyone in the world's gonna want to try those now because the dumb little fat alien was eating them. The little press credential. The press credentialed alien is sitting over there eating he's like,
it's really good.
Jerry Imming, do you have a question for Ryan Day? Ryan, what is your favorite flavor at Starbucks? Your favorite mochaccino? It's like, call on ET. And he's got his little hat on, his little hat with a little flower in it. It's like, Ryan, what's your favorite mochaccino? Have you got on a date? Yes, I've got on a date. Oh my God, kill me now.
The date night question was as bad as the DeCorian Moore video was. The date night commercial question was far worse. It was far more cringy.
Have you ever gone on a date? Have you ever gone on a date before? Well, I tried to. Ryan's like, I tried to go on a date, but this job's hard and not a lot of dates to go around. So.
Exactly.
Go ahead, take it. I'm done.
Back to the question. I mean, look, that's been one of my thoughts because, I mean, one of the thoughts on this whole thing when they went to, I wouldn't say developmental, but more the Ohio centric kid raw product that they offered as a wide receiver was that they were going all in on DeCorian Moore from an NIL standpoint. So when you don't get him, does it free it up to go after somebody else? I don't think that's crazy. I haven't heard that, but I don't think that's crazy talk. And I'm certainly going to be digging for the answer to that because I've always thought that they were going to pick one and go on. Well, they didn't get that one. Well, does that mean Vernell Brown? Does it mean Jamie French? Does that mean somebody else? I don't think that's crazy talk, and I think that's something we're going to keep a close eye monitoring.
So you think we'll survive or not?
I think we're going to survive. I think everything's going to be okay. I want you to stay strong because I know that this is really upsetting to you, and I want you to not be all depressed, be a sad panda because we didn't get DeCorian Moore. I think we're still going to be okay.
I don't know how I'm going to survive this weekend, honestly. We didn't get the
I
Corey
know,
Moore.
I know.
We have J.J. Smith and Carnell Tate and Brandon Ennis and whoever get in the portal and whoever else we get at wide receiver and the guys we have, and not to mention your 5-star that nobody talks about who wasn't here early, who's good. Mylan Graham.
Mylan
We
Graham.
have
Yeah.
Mylan Graham. Nobody remembers him because he came in June instead of January. So I hope we'll be okay. This is like me worrying about our wide receiver room. It's like me worrying about if Michael Rubin can afford to go to White Castle tonight after he had his white party last night. I hope Michael Rubin can get DoorDash tonight with his $30 billion. I hope he can do that. I'll light a candle at church for him on Sunday, and I can't wait for it. Nevada, any final thoughts? And we will wrap this thing up for the weekend until tomorrow. We'll be ready to rock again.
We are on Mary Riley Pettijohn Eve, and so we will. We're going to have the cutting of the Christmas goose and the airing of grievances tonight, and hopefully we get to open up our present tomorrow. Have a nice Riley Pettijohn thing, because I can't stand to see anybody else sad, and the fact that you would be even a sadder panda than you've been here in the last few days. That we can't have that. So I am drawing a line. It's kind of like in the movie 300, where it's like, this is where we hold them. This is where we stop. This is the line right here. Riley Pettijohn is the line. This is where we throw it down right now. They don't get through the gates. And we land Riley Pettijohn tomorrow. And then everybody's in wild rejoicing mood tomorrow because we got Riley Pettijohn.
For at least one day.
For at least one day. Exactly.
Until the world is ending again. Right?
Yeah, that will happen. That will happen at some. Because when McNutt commits to Oregon, then we'll be sad again. But at least we'll be happy for one day.
So I've got, like on Christmas trees, you either put up like an angel or a star on the top of your tree. I mean, do you do an angel or a star in Nevada?
We do a star.
Do you? Okay. So I've got a little angel, and I just ordered my newest angel. And I'm so excited about it. And I'm going to be so ready for it. And it's going to be something that I think is going to be absolutely fantastic for the Riley Pettijohn Derby. So I had Kim ordered. I had little Kirky climb up on the ladder and post it. And it's going to be ready to go. So I got my little angel. And there it is. I'm going to put it right up on the tree. I got my James Laurinaitis in the Legion of Doom slash it's Legion of Doom / Road Warriors. Because when they didn't release the name Road Warriors, they had to change it to Legion of Doom for the WWF. So that's my little angel, my little James Laurinaitis. When he had the ab roller with Austin Spittler on the Bosu ball, and was sitting in the cold tub every day, and he was rocked up. That's my little angel. It's gonna be on the tree tonight. So when I put the cookies and milk and the creatine out for Santa Claus to give us Riley Pettijohn tomorrow, he'll be ready to go. I think it's gonna be absolutely outstanding. Nevada, any final thoughts as we head off into the evening on this wonderful Friday?
No, just everybody stay strong. Keep the faith. It's not always going to be this bad. These are dark times to be an Ohio State fan, but they're about to get better. I just want you to know there's it's like the movie The Poseidon Adventure. There's got to be a morning after. Remember that when they were singing that when they were on the boat flipped over. And they all went to the top of the thing, and then they tried to get on the top of the boat.
To me, this is more like the 10 Commandments when they kill the firstborns. Like the little green fog comes into the, all of Cairo and Egypt, and
I didn't like those stories. I don't like the. I didn't like the story where like God told Abraham to like sacrifice his son and stuff like that. I'm like, man, why? I don't want him to sacrifice his son. That'd be bad. I don't want him to die. I like where people live. Gene Hackman died in the Poseidon Adventure, like shutting off the air valve thing there, or the steam valve,
really?
so everybody else could live. Yeah, he did. Young Gene Hackman. He played a preacher, 1973. Great movie.
If they said sacrifice a credentialed media member and he had to pay by the pound, like would we be able to get Riley Pettijohn tomorrow?
No, that would flip that boat right over again, man.
We'd be at the bottom of the Dead Sea right now. Oh my God.
We'd die. We'd be dead. We're all dead.
This thing's gone off the reservation. We appreciate you guys. As always, thank you guys so much for all that you guys do. Can't wait to see you guys tomorrow night, 7 p.m. We'll celebrate the Riley Pettijohn signing. It'll be a good day for the Buckeyes. If you guys enjoy this content, please leave us a like. Click subscribe. Also, click that little alert bell. Again, we appreciate all that you guys do each and every night. So thank you. If you guys are having a great weekend, always feel free to follow us on YouTube and also follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever medium you guys like to enjoy your audio podcast on. We appreciate that. Again, I hope you guys have a great weekend. Be safe. Have a good time. A nice long weekend. And a big 5-star commitment coming tomorrow. So it'll be a very, very good day for the Buckeyes. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much, Buckeye Nation. Thank you, Scoop family. I will see you guys tomorrow night. Go Bucks.